Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Libra energy. And we're going to do this 10 card spread, and we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives, because not everybody harnesses high vibe energy, not everybody's in shadowy energy. You know, people are all across the board in their emotional maturity level and their thinking, logic, and reasoning. So how they're going to handle this energy will be different. You know, you're either taking action, realizing love is the answer, and I'm going to maintain balance within myself. I'm going to offer love to myself and to the other people to deal with the truth of the situation, treating other people the way I like to be treated, or you haven't learned those things and you might take action more out of pride, ego, fear, insecurity, immaturity, trying to manipulate and control people. So this could be something that's going on that maybe people who are a Libra sun sign or have significant Libra placements might particularly be dealing with, but we all harness Libra energy, and we either harness it in a more high vibrational way or a more worldly or shadowy way. And you could be not a Libra sun sign, and you could be the one who harnesses high vibe Libra, you know? And some people that you think harness shadowy Libra energy, they, in relationship to other people, could harness a more high vibrational Libra energy. So, you know, it's kind of all relative. We've all learned lessons in life. It's kind of like some people, metaphorically, in the game of life, if it's 0 through 12th grade of high school is the levels of life, some people are a 3rd grader, some people are a 5th grader, some people are an 8th grader, some people are an 11th grader. You know, it just depends on the lessons that you've learned in life. And some people, in their free will, choose to be more about themselves or the world or their ego or their defensive nature or their immature nature, self-indulgent nature. Other people have grown up, tempered their ego nature, and they know how to work in a more just and fair way with people and from love. So let's go see what's going on. The overarching reason for the reading is the Justice card, which is Libra energy. We're all going to do what we think is just and fair. We were all 15 at one time. We lived our life like a 15-year-old. It was just and fair for us to live our life that way because that was our emotional maturity level. You can't expect someone who only has the emotional maturity of, say, metaphorically a 15-year-old to act like a 25 or a 35-year-old. And we just need to see the truth about different people and accept that everybody is where they're at. They can be in our family, they can be in our neighborhood, they can be in our workplace. Can we all get along? Yeah. Do I want to get in a more involved relationship with you? No. And if I do, we're going to be in a mismatched relationship. So there's probably going to be trouble. So we start out with a card not showing itself. And the way I interpret that is that anybody can try to present themselves as being more high vibrational. I'm a just, fair, stable, grounded, loving person. You should hire me. You should date me. You should marry me. But some of them are hiding. They harness this energy in a shadowy way. And other people meet them and they don't know it, right? And then some shadowy people, we all tend to think that other people think like we do. They can go meet people in the world. They think people think like they do. And they don't realize that some people harness this energy in a more high vibrational way. And then we get in relationships and we work with people in order to figure these things out about each other, right? What is that card? The King of Pentacles. And I view the King of Pentacles as Capricorn energy, that shadowy Capricorn is represented by the devil. And high vibe King of Pentacles would be that you are who you say you are. You are a just and fair and stable and balanced, emotionally mature, loving person. And some other people could be trying to present themselves as being that type of person, but they have some lessons to learn. And they might be more worldly focused, ego focused, self-focused, indulgence focused, and different types of people. High vibe people have cut out people from their life who they think are more shadowy. Some more worldly shadowy people don't want people to know that some of the people who left their life were high vibe because they'd wonder why they didn't move forward with them in a relationship. Well, those people wanted me to grow and heal and mature myself, and I'm not ready to do that, or I don't ever want to do that. So, and then there's some people that the King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married suit of the deck, so there could be some people that just don't want to get in a more formal commitment for high vibe reasons or low vibe reasons, right? So, we've all had... Then we have the Queen, or we have the Six of Swords, which is Aquarius energy, moving forward. Some people have learned lessons in life, and they are moving forward. They do look at life differently than they had looked at it before. They've seen the truth. When someone is holding one pentacle in high vibe, it means they've learned lessons in life. And some people were involved in something that was causing them a lot of mental conflict. And they worked through the mental conflict of it, kind of dealt with the truth of the situation, and they took action in high vibe Libra energy. I'm going to stand up for what I believe in, of what I think is just and fair. I could have been in a job, a friendship, a relationship with someone, and their idea of what they think is just and fair is different than my idea of what's just and fair, or what drives them, motivates them, and their idea of the dream life or dream relationship is different than my idea. So high vibe people are moving forward in truth and love, looking at life from a higher perspective, keeping things in perspective so they don't get all caught up in their head and their fear and their insecurities. And it's kind of like kind of loving themselves in the Page of Pentacles or the Page of Cups. I have my more hopeful, believing inner child nature is what the Page of Cups can represent. And I don't want to be in situations where people are abusing that aspect within me or trying to manipulate the love that I could have for people to manipulate me. And I'm going to protect and kind of stand up for my own inner child nature. What was going on back here and what are some people currently dealing with? We have the Ten of Swords and the Devil. We can all view life a certain way and live life a certain way, but then there comes a time where it's like, I don't want to keep living my life like this, or out of my fear and my insecurity, I could have stayed in it for a long time, like I wasn't willing to complete the cycle. Because we're all tempted in our worldly nature, and we all want things to work out the way we want. You know, we want there to be justice and fairness, and you just don't want to give up on something, right? But if people keep showing you over and over and over, I'm kind of shadowy. I'm kind of bossy or controlling or manipulative or fearful or insecure or competitive or hurtful and unkind. Eventually there comes a point in time where people are like, I'm not staying here anymore. And some of those people could be people who try to present themselves as being these just and fair people in the world. Libra energy can be like a person's like public politician persona, always trying to appease the masses so that as many people as possible find them unoffensive in a way so that everybody views them a certain way, like, oh, they're this just and fair person, right? And other people who got to know them found out, they might have that kind of image and they might kind of present themselves that way, but they got some lessons to learn and they got some things that manipulate them that they might not show people, right? So some high vibe people did, and some high vibe people are moving on from something or someone. The King of Pentacles and the Devil also can represent like workplaces and stuff. If people had been working with someone who really didn't seem to be putting in work and effort, kind of wanting to be more indulged in a relationship, even though they have a good persona and people could like them, because the way they kind of present themselves, if they're not putting in the work and effort to kind of move things forward, to bring the dream into reality. Eventually, even employers and things are going to move away from them, and coworkers are going to distance themselves from them. And, you can seem like the nicest person, but are you going to do the work? Is this ever going to move forward, victoriously? The Chariot can talk about moving forward victoriously, but it's supposed to be emotionally balanced. It's Cancer energy, and Cancer energy is about working together with people cooperatively in a just and fair and balanced way from love, not ego, greed, selfishness. How can I benefit? This is good for my ego and my image. But that's how some people want to move forward. Well, I don't want to invest in putting an end to my shadow nature. I want to keep moving forward in my shadow energy. I look like I'm this victorious, successful, stable, grounded, loving family person. You should want to let me keep working here or keep being in a relationship with you. But they want to keep moving forward with other people kind of not listening to their intuition, maybe being more caught up in, gee, I want this to work. Gee, this would seem victorious and successful. Maybe they will change. Maybe the dream will come into reality. But the more people were doing that and trying in the Page of Cups, like offering love and encouragement to those people, in order to really move forward more authentically, instead of kind of living more from your mind than your heart and trying to create this illusion about the type of person you are, between the Six of Swords and the Two of Swords is the Four of Swords. You have to heal. You have to reflect on the truth. You have to get more balance within yourself. You have to let go of the idea that I can just keep moving forward, presenting myself as this just and fair and stable, grounded family man or woman, or like I fit the mold. You should let me keep moving forward with you. Eventually, people do start to listen to their intuition because they've been offering like love and encouragement, trying to get the wheel of fate to move. We don't want things to stay stagnant, and there has to be progress, there has to be improvement. And the same thing happens in relationships. Things have to keep moving. You don't want like stagnant water, to go with the flow emotionally. Things have to keep moving, and we go with the flow and we adapt to change, and we don't say, no, I am not willing to go with the flow. No, I am going to be maybe more stubborn or more prideful or bossy or controlling, or I don't want to put in the work and effort, but I'll create the illusion that I am just because I don't want to lose this job or this relationship, right? And as things move forward, the more high vibrational people could feel a little stuck, and they're kind of wondering, should I keep moving forward with this person? Or should I kind of wish them peace, kind of distance myself from them and hold back from them and not let them come with? Because after the Four of Pentacles would be the Five of Pentacles, which is moving forward and going to that next phase of life. And just like, it's just an analogy, and I think sometimes we can kind of look at it a little more emotionally detached if we kind of put it in the perspective of a job. Not like a relationship is like a job, but there's a lot of similarities, right? Just like a job, you move forward in something, and initially things, some people, one job didn't work out, just like one relationship didn't work out. Some people could have been dealing with a Capricorn, or just people that you thought were more emotionally mature and just and fair and stable, and then some of those people you found out they weren't. Some people you found out they were. There's always people, maybe sometimes some people like, I don't know if I view you as a very emotionally mature person. I think you might be more prideful and egotistical or more manipulative. And then they end up finding out that, oh, wow, and some of those people distance themselves from some people because I think that person kind of uses their looks or their charm or their sexuality or their persona or whatever to try to manipulate people. And then they move forward in life, and then they find out some of the people that they were kind of offering encouragement to, those were the people that were presenting a persona that people weren't seeing the truth of who they were. And the people who really were people that kind of were on the more of the same page as them were people they originally could have kind of rejected, right? And we can sometimes have that happen in friendships. We can, it's been kind of interesting with my kids that too, sometimes when they meet someone, they're like, and they've known them for a while, and it'll maybe be like, well, why don't you go hang out with them or whatever? And I'll be like, we just don't really seem to blah, 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 click or whatever. And then they end up being really good friends because then something happened where they did have an opportunity to talk more, or as they hung out more, then it's like, oh, wow, and some of the people they were hanging out with are people they kind of weren't hanging out with as much, so, we can't judge a book by its cover. And, so some of the people that some people thought, oh no, this isn't going to work out. But again, kind of like a friendship group or a family dynamic or a workplace, people can move forward and they kind of do have their biases. And then as time goes by, it's like, wait a minute. I thought this was the person who was more in alignment and was the one who would be maybe more victorious and successful in moving something forward or more on the same page as me. But shoot, it was the person who initially I could have discredited. And those are the people. And really, I want to hold on to that person and I want to let go of some of these other people, right? So we've all been in experiences where things didn't work out. We've all had jobs that didn't work out. We maybe didn't want to be there. Wasn't a right match. People could be moving forward in new jobs. We could have been in relationships or friendships that didn't work out. We've moved on. So everybody is kind of moving on, is what the Six of Swords is talking about. And we're either moving forward in a more emotionally balanced way, still loving and believing in ourselves, not letting some negative experiences in our life let it stop us from moving forward. It could stop us for a while, and then we need to take that time to look at life from a higher perspective, do this work within ourselves, to love and believe in ourselves, to not give up on our dreams, to get back in the driver's seat of our own life, let our more loving, hopeful, believing nature kind of sit in the driver's seat, let our more fearful, insecure, hurt nature sit in the back seat, and listen to our intuition. And sometimes when we could distance ourselves from taking a break from certain people in our life or certain ways of living life, and there might be some people who are like, that's scary, I'm not moving forward that way, or that's not my truth, or you've changed, I don't like that you've changed. As we move forward in an energy of love, it takes time because we are these emotionally complex human beings, but over time, we have to work through all this of feeling stuck, wondering if we're going to get justice in the world, and we could take action more out again of fear and insecurity and codependency, and there could be a part of us that would want to do that. The pages can represent our more immature codependent nature, but because we've seen the truth, no, this is toxic, this is unhealthy. The Devil card looks just like the Lover's card, except the people have chains and shackles on them. So there can be people in our life that we have love for, but again, it's kind of unbalanced. It's people maybe trying to manipulate you or control you, or they're hurtful or unkind, or they're arrogant or whatever, And so the devil talks about things and people in our life that try to limit us, restrict us, oppress us, confine us, imprison us from living our more authentic life. And if they're people who don't want to kind of be more connected in with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature, and maybe live their more authentic life, because high vibe Aquarius is kind of like shining your light in the world and looking at life from a higher perspective, stepping outside of societal norms to bring needed change to the world. And we all initially could have all been more caught up in the world and caught up in the worldly dream. And we thought that's how, we would move forward and that would make us feel victorious and successful. And everybody, you grow up in the world and they tell you if you do all these things, you'll be happy, you'll love it. And then we can do that and we feel kind of stuck. And it's like, I thought if I lived my life like that and I indulge in these things, or I dress this way and, blah, 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 I get justice. But it can seem like we can have all those things of the world. It can all look really good. But the devil can be that we kind of feel like it does kind of limit us or restrict us, or that it could feel more superficial and shallow. And then we can kind of wonder, again, we can all get in relationships like when we were younger. Some people still, when they're older, more out of fear and insecurity and codependency. And sometimes then we are moving forward with people and we kind of wonder, even wondering about ourselves, is this my truth? And again, we get in things and we think, oh yeah, this is going to be great. And I love this. This is my truth. But the thing is, we don't stay the same. A way of living life when we were 15 was different than how we wanted to move forward at 18. And then we go through that phase of life and we kind of realize it's time to move on, face our fears, pick up our investment in that old way of living life, believe in our dreams, move to the next phase of life. And then when we become like a 21-year-old, and, it's all these different phases of life that we go through. And we can have some people in our life that we kind of go through those phases together. And sometimes when one person is kind of ready to kind of move forward in life differently and we're not kind of ready, but, there's someone that we love, or they're our friend or whatever, we trust them. They're loving and encouraging and supportive to us to help us work through our fears of moving forward in life a little differently, just like back in the day when people moved out, or people went to college, or people went and got a job for the first time, or they left that job to go get another job. All those things were scary. And the more practice you get at it, the less scary it is. And because, again, we learn these lessons. And hopefully, as we keep learning lessons, we're more in tune with ourselves to listen more to our intuitive, loving nature than our more fearful nature. And some people have less experience. Like if somebody had worked at a job and that was the only job they'd worked out, well, for those of us who'd had more than one job, we remember how scary it was to go apply for another job. And some people have been in the same job, and I suppose some people could have been in a relationship or a marriage, and then it's really scary for them to go back out in the world where the people who maybe didn't get married, or people who have gotten out of a marriage, or I suppose for some people they could have been married a few times, it's maybe not as scary to go back out in the world to kind of have that more hopeful, believing spirit within yourself, right? Everything's like practice, just like anything you look at, any example of things that kids did, like, oh my gosh, that's too scary. I can't ride a bike. I can't skateboard. I can't water ski. I can't drive a car. And then, you get over it, but some people who have less experience are still very scared about doing it, and you could all be the same age, right? But in order to authentically move forward in life, you have to, because the truth sets us free, and the tens talk about completing a cycle, In high vibe, you have healed. You really are ready to detach from an old cycle. I don't want to repeat that way of living life, and I'm not the same person I was. But other people can think, well, I don't like this, or this job isn't working out. I'm just going to go get a different job or go get in a different relationship. And they want to kind of skip the part about working through the pain and the heartbreak and offering love to it and getting more balance within themselves. And so a more shadowy energy can be, I don't want to deal with the truth. I don't want to see where I need to heal and grow and mature myself. I don't want to see about the type of people I was in a relationship with, their traits and characteristics that maybe I should watch out for next time. No, no, no. I think I'm just going to move on ahead, and I'm sure it'll all work out next time. But it's kind of like they didn't learn the lesson they were meant to learn. And so they're the same person they were, trying and still being attracted to certain people, still wanting to do certain things in their life that maybe they should have let go of, or have certain viewpoints or attitudes or ways of viewing the world or ways of viewing relationships or how they treat people in relationships, and they don't want to see the truth of it. Or they could just keep, it's kind of like indulging their more immature nature. No, I don't want to see the truth. No, I don't have to heal. I'm sure it'll all, and we could have all done that before too. Say when you're younger and you kind of like people who seem to be kind of a little more crazy and spontaneous and whatever, and it was really fun to be around them, but they never kind of got out of it, and you kind of thought, well, everybody kind of more settles down and matures, and some people don't. And so then it might be, next time I meet someone who might be kind of like that, I know I can be attracted to that type of person, and some people can be attracted to the dark and brooding. We can all have, and we'd have to kind of figure out, why am I attracted to those type of people? And if I don't want to keep, there's a reason why. And maybe we could, if it's being more fun and playful, maybe I could work on being more fun and playful within myself and people who maybe are a little more settled down and not so wild and crazy. And if I like dark and brooding, is it because I'm trying to change people, right? Because the Six of Swords, again, moves away from the Five of Swords, and the fives are about change. And sometimes some people, they are very kind of full of themselves or stubborn or prideful or immature or egotistical. And if somebody thinks they should look at life differently, like, you could benefit from some healing or growing or maturing or working through past pain and heartbreak, how dare you? I'm leaving. And I'll go find someone else who'll maybe kind of shadowy Aquarius can be. Either I think I'm full of myself and I think there's someone else who will want to be in a relationship with me, or in some way they could kind of look victorious or successful in the world. They could be attractive or charming or smart or have status or image or social clout. And they just figure, I don't have to change. There's other people that'll want to be in a relationship with me. And they never kind of want to deal with the truth. Well, if you don't deal with the truth, they might think the wheel of fate will turn in their favor, but their more immature nature is what kind of always sabotages it. Because if they didn't ever heal or grow or mature themselves, or they keep getting in relationships with the same type of people they were in relationships with before, what kind of people are they getting in relationships with? People who aren't very just and fair or loving, people who are more immature, people who are more bossy and controlling or manipulative or more materialistic or want them to grow and heal and mature. Why go get in a relationship with people who are motivated and inspired to grow and heal and mature themselves And you know you're not that type of person. You know. Some people think they can force the wheel of fate to turn in their favor. I don't have to do love. I don't have to get balanced within myself. I have an idea. I'm just going to present myself as being someone who's more just and fair and loving. I have maybe been in relationships with people who are more just and fair and loving. I know how they act, and I've been around them. I can act like them, and that's living more from your mind than your heart. It's like a mental construct of who they are, but it's operating from their ego. It's like a mental construct. It isn't authentically really who they are. It's just like, this is the role I'm going to play in the world so that other people will view me this way, so they will get in a relationship with me, and then I will be able to move forward with those people, and I will look like I've healed, I've grown, I've matured, I'm not the same person I was before. This is good for my ego and my image. The only problem is that as time goes by, you know, they're either trying to get in relationships with more high vibe people who are more balanced, and we can all put work and effort kind of in the Four of Pentacles to build a foundation in a way, and then ready to move forward, to pick up our investment in that foundation we built, to move forward and have this new beginning and bring the dream into reality. And that's where the problem can come in, because how do they fake the next level when they were faking kind of the level they were on? It's just like, oh my God, I'm like kind of maybe stressed out all the way up in my head because I'm moving. It's kind of like people taking a job that they're not qualified for. And it's just like, oh shit, I got to not show them that I'm kind of bossy or controlling or prideful or egotistical or got a lot of fears or insecurities, or I'm more about me and lust and greed. I got to hide all that. I got to put on this persona that isn't the truth of who I am. And then, while they're trying to move forward with people trying to cover up all these things, you know, as other people move forward in a relationship with them, you know, they can put on the best show that they want. But other people have their intuition. And other people are, some people, they are shadowy, but they don't want to be in relationships with people like them. You know, everybody can want to be in relationships with loving, nurturing people. This is great. You know, they're encouraging, they're supportive, they're emotionally balanced, they're loving, they're giving. They put a lot of work and effort to make the relationship work. But some of these people, even when they're in a nurturing, supportive environment, they never do this work within themselves to work through some of those issues from their past. So they're always, it's like they're carrying all this with them. They're trying to move forward. The thing is, other people drop some of their baggage, but they keep dragging it with them. And it keeps affecting them. And it keeps affecting how they act in the relationship and the decisions that they make in a relationship. And eventually it kind of gets to the point where they want it to stay where it's at. Like, let's just stay here. Let's not move forward to that next phase of life. And the other people are like, well, why not? Why, you know, it's just like a relationship grows and matures itself. Why isn't this growing and maturing itself? And high vibe energy is about being more independent. And what is it that manipulates you? And that can be where some people, a relationship ends. And can it be a lot of struggle and pain and conflict and all that? Yeah. And eventually kind of the high vibe people offer love to themselves, to the whole situation, and kind of realize, you know, your truth is different than my truth. Your idea of the dream life is different than my idea of the dream life. Kind of what drives and motivates you, and how you envision this moving forward, and how I envision this moving forward is different. And I've come kind of to a place of peace about it. Not to say you can't be really angry. And again, though, for some people right now, someone is doing some of this work within themselves, and they're offering love and encouragement to some of the people in their life. And initially, those people could kind of put in work to move forward in that way. But they could just have a real problem of being more, keep trying to maintain balance within themselves, because they kind of like to be out of balance, more about themselves, being more indulging in things to make them feel better, rather try to manipulate and control people than work together with people in a more just and fair way. And then eventually they're just like, I don't know if I want to keep moving forward with this, because, it's kind of not their truth. And the other people are confused why they're holding back and why they're not moving forward. And, it causes people to go through all of this, and everybody's kind of debating if we should stay, if we should go, if we should let them go, take them with, And some people could be in that phase of a workplace dynamic, friendship, or relationship. Other people have already gotten out of it. Some people are just getting out of it. Some people are going to try to find people to be kind of the next person to indulge in a relationship with, and they still haven't learned any lessons from the last relationship, just that one didn't work out, or that person could have been more immature, could have been like them, but they haven't really learned to still love and believe in themselves and get more balance within themselves, and they're just... It's like people can look to drugs or booze or food or sex or gambling. Some people look to relationships to be the answer to their problems. And some high vibe people would be like, a page can be, I'm willing to get to know people, but I'm not going to make a bigger gesture to get in a more involved relationship with you. We can get to know each other and kind of see where we're at, what kind of foundation you operate from, at work, social settings, whatever. But high vibe people have learned to listen to their intuition. And if their intuition, which they maybe didn't listen to before, says, you should hold back from this person, you should not invest more in this person, before they were like, oh no, I'm going to go do it. I am tempted by the devil. I'm sure it'll all work out. And it didn't. So now they've learned to listen to their intuition, and they're not as willing to move forward with people in more involved relationships. It stays at a social getting to know you phase. And as time goes by, if I see that you are someone who did the work, you are more emotionally balanced, you are not operating more from your lust and your greed and your pride and your ego, and you do operate from a stable foundation, and we do seem to have the same truth, and you respect that both people are individuals with their own dreams and their own unique talents, skills, and interests, and it's not about getting in a relationship and I give up all my dreams and make my life all about you, because I've already been in relationships with people who wanted it to be all about them. And then when I wanted, because initially too, you can get married and have children. And there too, you just live life, even people, male or female. Sometimes we don't know what would really be something we would really kind of aligned with our inner child truth. We don't even know that. It's part of the journey of life. And learning all these things and experience all these things, that then we're like, oh my gosh, this is my thing that I would like to move forward with and invest time, energy, and effort into and work with. I think this is my thing, like damn, I would have never thought I wanted to own a landscape business when I was 15 or 18 or 25 years old, but now that I'm 35, I think I do, you know? And maybe some people would even leave a career that looked much more victorious and successful, but they didn't like it. Well, you could have some people in your life, especially if you're married, that is like, what? So we won't have as much money as we used to have when you had a job that made more money because you kind of want to fulfill a dream? Well, I'm leaving. you know, and, you know, sometimes things like that happen. Some people are just moving forward in a relationship because they want to backstab someone else. And if you could be someone who someone feels that way towards, I don't like that you saw the truth about me. I don't like that you healed. I don't like that you're not willing to keep repeating this pattern with me and juggling the truth about what's really just and fair. I don't like that you offered love to yourself instead of looking to me as the source. It's kind of like the devil wanting to be God in your life. You're supposed to be in codependent energy, shadowy page. And you're like, I believe in a higher truth and justice and power. And if I gave you a lot of power and authority in my life and you're abusing it, I believe in a higher truth and a higher power, and that's what I'm going to go invest in, because you're not being very loving, like godlike. You're being a little more selfish and greedy and bossy and controlling and kind of more about yourself, and that's when they want to backstab you. And for some people right now that could be going through this, they could be experiencing that, and it's very painful and it's very confusing. But they keep offering love to the situation. What more can I do than maintain moving forward from a place of balance and love, not getting into the dirt, not getting into the anger, or if I do, it's all privately at my own house. I want to try to maintain moving forward in a way that I can be proud of. And I'm going to let them do what they want to do, act the way they want to act. And if truth and love isn't what drives and motivates them, I've seen the truth of it. And they're not who I thought they were. And I'm going to wish them peace, and I'm going to move on, and I'm going to hold back from those people. I'm not going to exchange resources with them. I'm not going to keep moving forward with them. I'm going to pick up my investment in them, keep maintaining my balance, and I'm going to offer my truth and love to other people in the world to see who's more on the same page as me. There are going to be some people that are more shadowy that might want to be the next person to indulge in a friendship or relationship with me. It's like, no, I can get to know you and kind of not get too invested in it, and then I might kind of distance myself from it when I start to see the truth that we're not really on the same page, or I don't think this is a right match. And anybody, as I move forward, people I meet and people I approach, and if anybody from my past wants to come up that isn't those people who've already shown me the truth of who they are, that maybe have learned some of the same lessons I have, you can reconnect with friends or people that possibly that now you're on the same page. And, because sometimes when we all had to learn some lessons in life, we were drawn and attracted to certain people, and other people could have been drawn and attracted to certain people, and we didn't stay in friendships or relationships or get in them or stay in them. And sometimes we kind of were living parallel lives and went through similar life experiences, but there's always new people that we're going to meet too. And it's just looking to find people who are kind of more on the same page as us at the same time as us. So what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Libra energy? People are moving forward with Well, shadowy people could just be trying to manipulate another person, or they're moving forward with people who are more on the same page as them. And high vibe people are only wanting to invest their time, energy, and effort into other people who seem to be more just and fair and balanced, treating other people the way they like to be treated. And needless when some people who've gone through similar life experiences like that see people moving forward, seem to be moving forward in this emotionally balanced way, aren't taking action more out of pride and ego and lust and greed and trying to manipulate people. You know, there's other people that are like, damn, I've been waiting for someone like you to come up the path. And as you're moving forward, you're looking for other people to come up the path of life. You know, and just like employers are like, damn, we've been waiting for someone to leave some jobs and come apply here because we've kind of had some people that didn't quite work out so well, you know, and we appreciate people who are more balanced. And anyway, what's coming up for the high vibe people? The Six of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Five of Wands. And again, the fives talk about change. And the Five of Wands is also Leo energy. And the Five of Wands comes after the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands can be the foundation of self that you operate from. So you are ready to have a new beginning because the 2, the 3, and the 4 of Wands is Aries energy, which is cardinal energy to start something new. And you're inspired to take action, to change, to look at life from a higher perspective, deal with the truth of what was unhealthy, toxic, wasn't in alignment with your truth and your dreams, and wasn't good in your life to keep moving you forward towards what you were trying to manifest. So if it was just bad behavior and habits and ways of thinking or whatever within yourself, you saw the truth of it. And from the 10 to the 6, you healed. And like, I'm not going to keep moving forward feeling stuck, is what the Two of Swords can be. And I'm going to keep offering love to myself, to keep maintaining balance within myself, focusing more on truth and love, to keep moving forward, to know what I should hold back from my own shadowy nature. And the whole thing is, it's like there's all these people in the world, and there are people in the world that are more aligned with our shadowy nature. And if we were in shadowy energy, we'd be more hanging out with them and being friends with them and dating them and marrying them and working for them and going into business with them, if that's what our truth is. But then there's other people in the world who are more aligned with our hopeful, believing, creative, inspired, loving nature. Which ones, what aspects within ourselves have we been investing more time and energy, and which people in our life have we been investing more time and energy? High vibe people are seeing the truth that there's some things that need to be left behind. If they're already in relationships that are emotionally balanced and just and fair and loving, they're going to hold on to those relationships. If they realize some of the people they've been moving forward with, like, wait a minute, I don't know that you have my best interest at heart. I think you kind of juggle, or I think you're kind of more selfish, or I think you're not being authentically loving. I think you're kind of wearing a false mask. I'm not going to keep moving forward with you, and I'm going to move forward with people who I do think are more on the same page as me. So regardless, high vibe people were willing to change, and they were willing to take inspired action in their life to kind of love themselves and believe in themselves and believe in their dreams. And because you did that, what's coming that you don't see coming? The Six of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. And the Six of Pentacles, well, I view them both as Taurus energy. But in our Taurus energy, at every stage of life that we've been in, we had a certain philosophy of life and a way of viewing life. And that's what our Taurus energy can talk about. And we got in certain jobs, friendships, and relationships with people because at one time, that's how we, to whatever degree, viewed life, lived life, and we were in relationships with some people. To some degree, had a lot in common. But then we're willing to detach from that old kind of way of viewing life to emotionally grow and mature ourselves and face our fears about moving forward in life differently. And again, there's some people who move forward with us in that energy if we already have more loving, nurturing people in our life who we're loving and encouraging to, and they're loving and encouraging. We keep moving forward with those people. Some of the people in our life that we had at one time viewed as more stable, grounded, loving, nurturing people, we could have found out it was more out of competitive energy, or more about shadowy Taurus can be about the ego and the image and the status and the money or the stability or security or something. And it's like, I want to be in relationships with people who harness high vibe Taurus, people who really act with character and integrity, and they are who they say they are. And high vibe Taurus is building a foundation on truth and love and being more independent of your shadowy egoic nature. And you're not trying to manipulate and control people and deceive and manipulate people. You are who you say you are authentically from love. And that's who some people want to be in a relationship with. And as they're moving forward in that energy, investing their time, energy, and into people who are in that type of energy, they're also getting more balanced and stable and emotionally maturing themselves. And as you do that within yourself, it changes your whole life. And it changes your perspective of life. And it changes how you move forward in life. And things that you used to maybe go back and forth about, you're probably not going back and forth about it anymore, because I view the King of Swords as Libra energy. All this life experience has helped you get more clear about your truth. And part of it could have been to stand up for yourself and love yourself and protect and maybe even kind of defend your own more emotionally intuitive, loving nature from people who are aligned more with the competition, that they are more shadowy and they want to indulge in a relationship with you and manipulate you or take advantage of your loving nature. And it's like, no, I might have used to do that in the past. I might have indulged poor behavior in people because I wanted to be in that friendship or that relationship or that job, but not anymore. I think I have the skills and the resources, and I think that if in a world of duality, if people are creating a little hell on earth, that means in a world of that there's like opposites, I believe there's people creating a little heaven on earth. And when I see people are acting shadowy, I'm going to offer them truth and love, but I'm not going to engage in that. If you want to come with me, you can, but you have to see the truth. How that's kind of unjust, unfair, and you want to stay in denial of it. And if you want to stay in denial of it, then I wish you peace. You move forward the way you want to move forward, and I'll move forward the way I want to move forward. And people will reap what they sow. There will be consequences for their actions. And I think as you're harnessing that high vibrational energy, there will be people who want to have new beginnings with you. There will also be people that have inner conflict and want to fight and compete with you because they do like to present a facade about who they are, but they haven't changed. They are maybe trying to manipulate. It's like someone trying to present themselves as a king or queen of pentacles, but they don't have the substance. They might look the part. They might have the resume, even in relationships, that it looks like they should be a more stable, grounded, emotionally mature person. But that could be more because of the people they were in relationship with than because of them, And then kind of once those people leave, then people kind of realize that these people can try to present themselves as being like they were the one kind of putting in the work and effort to make that relationship work. But eventually people see, no, I think it was the people that moved away. I think they were the ones that was making this move forward in an emotionally balanced, loving, creative, inspired way, because you don't align with your more hopeful, believing, loving, creative, inspired nature. You kind of align with being more about living from your mind and your heart, and or your mind then your heart, being kind of immature and competitive, and you just create an illusion of being that type of person. Anyway, and I think there's other people, if you're looking for a job, there's other people that would like to hire you for a job. I think you'll get in different friendships and relationships, and you could get married to someone else if you're not already moving forward in that type of relationship, because other people have been in relationships with people who are more shadowy also, and they don't want to be in relationships with people like that anymore either. And they could see that you aren't like those people. You're different. And it's like, I could have been thinking, maybe I'll just move on. I like them, but maybe I'll just keep moving on. And then they think about it some more, and then maybe some of those people will communicate. Or some of you could know someone who you think is more on the same page as you, and maybe you've been juggling, and you'll communicate. Okay, what's going on? What's coming up for the people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Libra energy that they don't see coming? The Hangman and the Ten of Wands. Why? Because of the Five of Wands. So in shadow, this would be people who have inner conflict and kind of operating from their ego. And because of that, it keeps them stuck, is what the Hangman can talk about. They have this way of viewing life that they thought was going to work out the way they want, but they kind of have these illusions about maybe what it means to be in a relationship. But they don't want to look at life any differently, because that causes them conflict in their ego nature. Because in our ego nature, we can all think we're right? And you have to get out of your ego to be willing to learn lessons in life and kind of look at life differently, and look at life from another perspective, and look at life from other people's perspective. And some people really have a problem with that. And so because of it, they keep trying to force things, is what the Ten of Wands can be. And they keep putting in, like, they are all in, I know I can make this work, and I refuse to put an end to being more about myself, or my materialistic nature, or being more about me, or my materialistic, I want to look like a shining star in the world. I want to look like I have moved forward victoriously. And if they're in a relationship with someone right now, it can really be that they're putting in a lot of work and effort, because it does look good by worldly standards, and they are putting in everything they got to get it to move forward. But some of the people in their life might be like, I'm not sure. And some people, if they can get people to move forward with them, then the whole plan is, they're not showing that this really isn't their truth. For right now, they might put a lot of work and effort to try to make it look like, oh yeah, I'm all on board. Oh my God, I love you. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Oh my gosh, I was so unhappy before. This is, so we could maybe call that love bombing, right? But then if they can get people to kind of let go of their reservations and kind of keep moving forward with them, then they're kind of hoping that the other person will kind of take over the load, and because they are maybe a more hopeful, believing, loving person, and that's kind of what they're looking for. And then they can stop putting in work and effort. Perfect. Goodness. Thank goodness I got this person on board, because they put in all this work and effort to make the dream come into reality, and I kind of get to sail along with them, and it's kind of like easy breezy for me, until the other people kind of realize, wait a minute, I am putting in all this work and effort, And now I kind of see that you seem to have inner conflict about putting in work and effort. And then again, that's when people have conflict again in a relationship. And the other people they get in a relationship with aren't sure they want to keep moving forward with them. And then this person doesn't like that those people saw the truth about them because they were supposed to buy into the illusion of who they were, and they were supposed to stay in that illusion forever. You know, the devil's always trying to have you caught up in illusion. And eventually the next people are like, you know what? I think I'm going to move on because I don't. Initially, you made it seem like you're willing to put in work and effort with me in a just and fair and balanced way, but I wasn't seeing the truth about you. And I feel like I am being more authentic and hopeful and believing and loving and just and fair. And I'm kind of thinking you might be in it a little bit more because it works for you and is good maybe for your ego and your image. And that's what I really think kind of drives and motivates you. And I don't think it's love. And then those people leave. So they could have, some people have someone that they're really putting work and effort to make it work. Maybe out of competitive energy. Because some people had loving, nurturing people in their life, but they kind of rejected that. They were kind of indulging some of their fear or their insecurity or their pride or their ego. They're repeating an old pattern anyway. And they probably, just like all of us, when we kind of keep repeating an old pattern, like, oh shit, I shouldn't have repeated this pattern. Why did I do this? And partly it is because it is closing out an old chapter of your life and a way of viewing life. It's hard. You know, we've got to work through all those fears and insecurities and get out of our head and have some more hope and faith, and we can want to give in to our more immature, self-indulgent nature and hope it'll all work out. And some people did that. And then some people are more shadowy, like I say. And shadowy hangman can be some people are just trying to prove a point. I refuse to admit that those people were right. That I maybe would benefit from looking at life a little differently, or maybe not trying to manipulate or control people, or if I would grow up some. But, you know, it just depends on how prideful and egotistical and stubborn some people are. And some people are very much, and they will never want to admit the truth. And they'll try to force the wheel of fate to go in their favor. And the people who might end up ultimately staying in a relationship with them are people who might be on the same page as them, who also could have a lot of inner conflict, who also, shadowy Ten of Wands and Sagittarius can just be that people are kind of more immature, more self-indulgent, more competitive in the world. You know, it is maybe more about the ego and the image and looking like how victorious their life is. But then they can get in relationships. You know, if that's the foundation, I want to be in a relationship because I have inner conflict. I want to be in a relationship because I'm in my ego. I want to prove someone else wrong. I want to hurt someone else. Ugh. I think people who live their life like that and are in relationships like that or stay in jobs that are like that and they're in that energy too, there's always going to be high vibe people in their life that are like, I can't keep doing this and I'm leaving. And they're the next people who leave, you know? And it could be more friends or family that leave. It's like, if you're not willing to put an end to your kind of, it could be even poor, poor, pitiful me, you know, and eventually people are like, I think you're kind of stubborn, kind of full of yourself, and you think that everyone should make their life about you. And you need to grow up. if you want to be in relationships with other people, you are supposed to work together with them cooperatively. It's not just all about you. They are their own person with their own dreams, and it isn't only just supposed to be the way you want to live life or what you think is just and fair. But some people are quite immature and full of themselves, and they indulge their more immature nature. They think it's just and fair. Other people should indulge them. And they're maybe just looking for people who are more fearful and more codependent that they can manipulate. And if they get, the thing is, they might get in a relationship with someone who uses all those ways of being that they have to manipulate them. There's always bigger fish in the sea. And there's other people looking for people like them. Just like there's people in the world looking to prey on loving people. There's other people looking for people who are more prideful and egotistical. It's like, oh, you let those loving people go, huh? That's interesting. So, you're kind of more about ego and image, huh? What if I have these things of the world? That would make me look victorious and successful in a way. I might want to backstab someone. I might just want to be in a relationship. If I have these things of the world, will you indulge me in a relationship? Because that also would be a shadowy Taurus relationship. Whoever thinks that they have more of these things of the world thinks they should be the person who's indulged in a relationship. And they might get in a relationship with someone because that's what drives and motivates them. If there's someone in the world who has those things that they want, then that person's like, well, I'll invest in you, but it's no longer about you. You want these things, right? Well, I guess you're going to have to put in a lot of work and effort to show me how much you love me. And then you're going to move forward with me. And if that's what's important, that's kind of what you manifested. That's what you thought was just and fair when you were in relationships with some loving people. Well, you present yourself like you're this loving person, but I think you're really more about these things of the world. Are you willing to give up your ego? You could look at the devil as ego. To indulge me because I have those things of the world? And then they might get in a relationship with someone where, what goes around comes around. And some of those people will feel stuck and overwhelmed and have a lot of inner conflict about staying in it, just like people had inner conflict about staying in a relationship with them. But because those things are so important to them, they'll probably stay in it. Because love was never that important to them anyway. Those things of the world were what was most important. Being in relationships with people, even if they fight and argue with you or are overwhelming or immature in some way, you're going to stay, right? You're not going to go anywhere, right? Perfect. I'll keep moving forward with you. Because some people, it's just to have somebody to be in a relationship with. I don't care if we fight like cats and dogs. I don't care if you love me. I don't care if you hate me. You're not going anywhere, right? Okay. We'll stay in a relationship. Everybody has free will, has their idea of what they think makes them look victorious and successful and like they have justice in the world. It's just some people dream of a little more than what some other people are willing to settle for. So there you go, Libra. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.